a magic word. Here in the secret kindergarten, the world's best show for kids is starting. The Secret Kindergarten Radio Show. Use your ears and your imagination. We're going to play, we're having fun. The Magic Secret Kindergarten on the Revolution Radio Station.
Hello and welcome back to the Secret Kindergarten Radio Show. I'm your host, Gino. And this is Revolution Radio, of course. And today, down here in New Zealand, it's January the 28th. And today's daily word of wisdom for January the 28th, thanks to Manly P. Hall, is this. The only thing a person can truly control is themselves. When they go against the universal laws and fight against their own better judgment, it's like declaring a war they can never really win. So it's important to just be good and look after yourself. I'm going to read you a story. I have a new book. This book is called Vintage Grimm, The Complete Fairy Tales. And you know I like Brothers Grimm stories. And you know that I know that all you kids out there can handle it, because we know that we see so many yucky things going on in these Grimm stories. But we can handle it, and the stories are cool, so here we go. The Brothers Grimm story for today is called The Little Hamster from the Water. Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a king's daughter, and in her castle under the pinnacle, she had a large rotunda with 12 windows facing all the directions of the sky. Whenever she climbed up to the pinnacle and looked around, she could survey her entire realm. From the first window, she could see things more clearly than any other human being. From the second, she could see much better. From the third, even more distinctly. And so it went until the 12th, from which she could see everything above and beneath the earth. Nothing could be concealed from her, and since she was proud, she refused to allow anyone to govern her and intended to rule the kingdom alone. She let it be known that anyone who wished to become her husband would have to be able to hide himself so well that it would be impossible for her to find him. Whoever attempted this and was discovered by her would have his head cut off and stuck on a pole. Soon there were 97 poles with dead heads in front of the castle. And for a long time, nobody came and endeavored to win her hand. The king's daughter was pleased and thought, I shall now remain free for the rest of my life. Then 3 brothers appeared before her and announced they wanted to try their luck. The oldest thought he would be safe if he crawled into a lime pit. But she saw him right away from the first window and had him pulled out and his head chopped off. The second crept into the cellar of the castle, but she saw him from the first window as well, and he was done for. His head was stuck on the 99th pole. Then the youngest brother appeared before the princess and requested a day of grace for reflection, and also asked that she be so merciful as to grant him 2 chances if she should discover him. If he failed the 3rd time, then he would forfeit his life. Since he was so handsome and made his request so sincerely, she said, "Yes, I shall grant you your wish, but you will not succeed." The next day he pondered a long time and tried to think of a way to hide himself, but in vain. Then he took his gun and went out hunting. He saw a raven, took aim, and was just about to pull the trigger when the raven cried out, "Don't shoot, and I shall reward you." The youngest brother let go of the trigger and continued on his way until he came to a lake, where he surprised a large fish that had emerged from the depths of the water to the surface. When he aimed his gun, the fish exclaimed, "Don't shoot, and I shall reward you." He let the fish dive back into the water and went farther until he encountered a fox that was limping. He shot and missed him. Then the fox cried out, "Come over here instead and pull the thorn from my foot." Though he did this, he still wanted to kill the fox and skin it. The fox said, "Don't do it, and I shall reward you." The young man let him run off, and since it was evening, he returned home. The next day, he was supposed to hide himself, yet no matter how much he racked his brains, he did not know where to hide. Then he went into the forest to the raven and said, "I let you live. Now tell me where I should hide myself, so that the king's daughter won't see me." The raven lowered its head and thought for a long time. Finally it said with a rasp, "I've got it!" The raven fetched an egg from its nest, broke it in 2, and shut the young man inside. Then he made it whole again and sat down on top of it. When the king's daughter stepped to the first window, she could not discover him, nor could she as she moved from window to window, and she began to feel alarmed. However, from the 11th window, she caught sight of him and had the raven shot. Then the egg was fetched, cracked open, and the young man was obliged to come out. The princess said, "This first time I shall let you go, but if you don't do better, you will be lost." The following day he went to the lake, called the fish, and said, "I let you live. Now tell me where I should hide myself, so that the king's daughter won't see me." The fish thought a while, and finally exclaimed, "I've got it! I'll lock you up in my stomach." The fish swallowed the young man and swam to the bottom of the lake. The king's daughter looked through her windows, and even in the 11th, she did not see him and was troubled. However, she finally discovered him in the 12th. So she had the fish caught and killed, and the young man emerged. You can imagine how he felt. The princess said, "This is the 2nd time that I'll let you go, but your head will more than likely be stuck on the 100th pole." On the last day, he went into the fields with a heavy heart and met the fox. "You know where to find all the hiding places," he said. "I let you live. Now tell me where I should hide myself so that the king's daughter won't find me." "A difficult task," answered the fox, with a doubtful look on his face. Finally he exclaimed, "I've got it!" The fox went with him to a spring, dunked himself in the water, and came out as a market vendor who sold animals. The young man had to dunk himself in the water as well, and was transformed into a little hamster. The merchant went to the city and displayed the tame little hamster. Many people came to see it. Eventually, the princess gave the merchant a lot of money for it. Before he handed the hamster to her, he said to it, "When the princess goes to the window, crawl quickly beneath her braids." Now the time arrived when she was to search for him. She went to the windows, one after the other, from the first until the 11th, and did not see him. When she did not spot him, even through the 12th, she was full of anxiety and anger, and slammed the window shut so violently that the glass in all the windows was smashed into 1,000 pieces, and the entire castle trembled. She moved from the window and felt the little hamster beneath her braids. Then she grabbed it, threw it to the ground, and yelled, "Get away! Get out of my sight!" The hamster ran to the vendor, and both rushed to the spring, where they dunked themselves and regained their true forms. The young man thanked the fox and said, "The raven and the fish are dimwits compared to you. You know the right tricks, that's for sure." The young man went straight to the castle. The king's daughter was already expecting him and yielded to her fate. The wedding was celebrated, and he was now king and lord of the entire realm. He never told her where he had hidden himself the third time or who had helped him, and so she believed that he had done everything by virtue of his own skill and had great respect for him. After all, she thought to herself, he can indeed do more than you. Well, I don't know about that story. Let's move right along. It's time for the freeze game. So get moving. Let's go. When's the music gonna stop? Oh, did you freeze? Oh, I ruined it. Did you catch that one? Let's go again. I got you. Okay, let's go again. Freeze time. So positive and uplifting. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, freeze! Did you freeze? Hey! And that was the last freeze. Oh, on the freeze game, it's good for you. It's good for everybody. It brings everybody together. It allows you to dance in a silly way if you can't dance. Because it's a game and it's meant to be fun. And it's good for body control for all you young kids out there. Okay, so that's why the freeze game's good. That's the whole point. What a lovely freeze game that was. You know what time it is. It's nature. Alrighty. Today we are talking about an innocent little flower called the daisy. Do you know what a daisy is? Have you seen one? Someone show you one. Get someone to show you one right now, please. It's a daisy. They're everywhere. They're on the grass. Okay. Everybody loves daisies. They are one of the most pretty and recognizable flowers that ever bloomed, giving birth to poetry, songs, and a once popular girl's name. The daisy has an enduring quality that brings feelings of goodness and purity. The daisy follows soft the sun, and when his golden walk is done, sits shyly at his feet. The daisy got its name from Old English and was once called the day's age, which translates to the day's eye. The cute little flower closes its petals around its bright yellow center at night. The daisy does this to retain moisture and protect itself from being eaten by nocturnal insects. The daisy opens back up with the sunrise, the start of a new day. The lovely yellow center is the sun, and the white petals represent purity and innocence. In the Middle Ages, children would make daisy chains to wear during May Day celebrations. Did you know? The daisy is actually two flowers in one. The yellow center, the cluster of tiny yellow disc petals is one bloom, and the surrounding white petals are actually another bloom. Most daisies have white petals and a yellow disc center, but there are also other colors to look for as well. Now I'm going to read you a poem. And this poem is called Daisies by William Wordsworth. Here we go. Amidst the meadow's green expanse, the daisy nods its golden head. A humble flower, a thing of grace, a joy to all who pass it by. With petals soft as new-fallen snow, and hearts of gold that seem to glow, the daisies light the earth with joy, and bless the world with their deploy. O lovely daisies, small and fair, may we, like you, bloom everywhere, and share the beauty of life's sweet song as we journey ever on and on. And now we're going to play you a little story called The Daisy Fairy by Edith Howe.
The Daisy Fairy. She was a dainty little fairy, and all her work was daintily done. The river bank was so gay with her sweet pink-tipped daisies that everybody admired it. The bees loved the spot. One day she noticed that a hill standing near had no flowers on it. "I must make that beautiful too," she thought. So she flew across and planted a daisy seed near the top. "That is absurd," said the hill. "How can a thing so tiny be of any use to me?" "Wait and see," said the fairy. To the seed she said, "Swell and sprout and grow up and down." The seed swelled and sprouted and grew up and down. When the fairy came again, it had a root and a stem. "Now make your leaves," she said. When next she came, the leaves were made. "Very well done," she said. "Now I will help you make your flowers, for they are the most important." So she and the daisy worked together at the flowers. First they made a stem, slender and green, with a knob at the top. On this they seated the flowers like tiny golden bells, round and round in rings. In each flower they put a store of honey for the bees and of pollen for the neighbor flowers. Then they set a row of fine large white petals round the edge to catch the eye of the bees, and the fairy tipped them with pink. Last they made the green leaf coverings for the outside to keep away unfriendly insects. "Fold yourselves over the flowers till the morning," the fairy said to these leaves, "and then open widely to let the bees come in." From her river bank the next morning the fairy saw the daisy shining in the sunlight. She pointed it out to a bee. "There is a fresh daisy full of honeycups," she said. The bee flew to it at once. He stood in the middle of the flower, unrolled his long tongue, and supped up the sweet honey from flower after flower, turning himself round and round till he had dipped into every one. "Thank you, tiny daisies," said the bee. "That was delicious honey." "Thank you, Mr. Bee," said the daisies, "for you have mixed our pollen, and now our seed will grow well." The daisy fairy came again and said, "Drop your petals, close your green leaf coverings, and make your seed." She came again when the seeds were ripe. "Now scatter your seeds," she said to the daisy, and to each little seed as it fell she said as before, "Swell and sprout and grow up and down." The seeds did as they were told, and soon there was a ring of strong young daisy plants growing round the first one. Again the flowers were made and the seeds scattered. In a short time the hill was starred with pink and white. "It is wonderful," said the hill. "I should never have believed it if I had not seen it." "It was a tiny seed," said the fairy, "but it has made you beautiful."
Walk around the maypole to welcome in the spring. Walk around the maypole, together we will sing. Walk into the middle and walk back out again. Walk into the middle and walk back out again. Sow the seeds in the ground below. At the sun and the rain, see the flowers grow. I can see in front of me a daffodil as pretty as can be. Sow the seeds in the ground below.
we're coming up to the bottom of the hour, which means that's another half hour of the Secret Kindergarten done. Thanks for listening. Bye.